I watched 2 Spider-Man films with Tom Holland and liked both of them. And somewhere in No Way Home, packed theater, people losing their minds around me, I realized I'd never actually been afraid for him. Not once, across 3 films. That hit me harder than anything else in the movie. Because Spider-Man is supposed to feel dangerous. That specific dread, that any given Tuesday could be the day it all falls apart, for him. I'd never felt it with this version. And I just accepted that. Like it was a taste thing. Like it was me. It wasn't me. No Way Home is the film that shows you what was actually wrong. And it does it by fixing the problem in front of you, piece by piece, across 2.5 hours, until the Peter Parker standing alone in a freezing apartment looks nothing like the kid Tony Stark recruited from Queens. Hi, Mac here. The Brand New Day trailer is out, and everyone's talking about where Tom Holland goes from here. Before that conversation, I want to talk about what No Way Home actually did to this character. Because most of what people say about this film is about the cameos. The cameos are real. I felt all of them. But what the film is doing underneath all of that is darker and more interesting. That's what we're getting into today. I liked Tom Holland's Spider-Man from the start. But even I had to admit there was a ceiling on these films, and it took me longer than it should have to name exactly what it was. The version of Peter the MCU built around him was the problem. Think about how Tom Holland's Spider-Man was introduced. Civil War. A kid from Queens, Tony Stark shows up at his apartment, hands him a brand new suit, and pulls him into an airport battle between Avengers. A billionaire arrived at his door with resources. That's it. That's where this version starts. And that pattern never stopped. Homecoming gave him a suit with an AI named Karen, instant kill mode, a drone, tactical overlays, the entire infrastructure Stark built over a decade of being Iron Man. Far From Home handed him Edith, a pair of glasses giving a 16-year-old control over a global satellite weapons network. And when Peter needed to build a new suit from scratch in the 3rd act, a scene that in any other Spider-Man story would be desperate and scrappy, he does it on a private jet using a Stark fabricator. On a jet. Iron Boy Jr. That's what people called this version, and it stuck because it was accurate. Kevin Feige made a specific decision when bringing Spider-Man into the MCU. Skip the origin story entirely. No radioactive spider shown on screen, no Uncle Ben, no formative tragedy. Peter Parker arrived in Civil War already Spider-Man, already web-slinging around Queens, already confident in his abilities. The MCU's reasoning was practical. Audiences had seen the origin twice in 15 years and didn't need it again. The consequence nobody thought about? Every version of Spider-Man that actually worked was built on loss. Real, permanent, irreversible loss. The loss of Uncle Ben is what turns Peter's guilt into something he can live by. It's the catastrophe that teaches him what power costs when you misuse it. Raimi's Peter carries that death everywhere. It makes him cautious, selfless, haunted. The tragedy is the whole structure the character stands on. The MCU skipped it. Peter arrived without that foundation. So the films gave him Tony Stark instead. Someone to learn from, someone to look up to, someone whose resources made every problem solvable. The safety net grew from there. Iron Boy Jr. traces back to one creative choice. Feige decided to defer the origin. No Way Home is the film that finally supplies it, 3 movies late. Peter Parker works as a character because of what he doesn't have. That's it. That's the whole thing. He's always one bad break from total disaster. His equipment is held together with hope and borrowed parts. His money runs out. Aunt May is aging and he can't always be there. The people he loves get hurt because he can't be everywhere at once. That gap between what he can do as Spider-Man and what he can actually fix as Peter Parker, that's where the character lives. That's where the tragedy is. Every win feels earned because you watched him bleed for it. The MCU closed that gap almost entirely. When a billionaire's AI is bailing Peter out of combat situations, you're watching someone wait for the right gadget. The dread that makes Spider-Man work, the feeling that this hero is held together with tape, that any given Tuesday could be the day it all falls apart, was just gone. Both films, gone. People felt it, even the ones who couldn't name it. The films were fun. Holland is charming. The action sequences are well constructed. And something kept the emotional ceiling low the whole time. The ceiling was the safety net. You can't be genuinely afraid for a character who has orbital strike capability. It's just not possible. There were people in my friend circle who just couldn't connect to this version, who liked the actor but bounced off the films. For a long time, I thought it was a taste thing. Then No Way Home came out and made the problem visible by solving it. And looking back, yeah, they were right. No Way Home is built around one decision. Strip all of it away. Every act removes another layer of protection. the Stark suits, the allies, the relationships, the identity itself. The whole film is saying, through every single scene, that this version of Peter Parker has never actually been tested until now. That the previous two films, for all their entertainment value, were a prologue to a character who hadn't yet been born. And I think that's actually true. The films before this one weren't failures, they just hadn't gotten to Peter yet. The problem starts earlier than you'd think. And honestly, Peter genuinely believes he can have everything simultaneously. All of it. MIT, Spider-Man, Aunt May, MJ, Ned, a normal teenage life, and a superhero career running side by side with zero cost. He doesn't think he's being naive. He's been trained to expect it. And this belief was never challenged in the two films before this one. 2 films! They never made him choose once! Every problem got solved by the next upgrade, the next ally, the next piece of Stark infrastructure. The MCU spent 2 films actively teaching Peter that real sacrifice wasn't something that applied to him. So when No Way Home opens, Peter hits a wall he has never hit before. And he has no idea what to do with it. When Mysterio outs him and his world collapses in real time, Peter pulls back into normal life. The helicopters are circling his building, and he's trying to mediate the breakup between May and Happy Hogan. And that detail tells you everything about who Peter is right now. He cannot process the scale of what's actually happening, so he processes the smaller thing instead. He handles what he can. He pretends the helicopters aren't there. When the fallout results in MIT rejecting his friends, the instinct is the same. Find the shortcut. Don't let the consequence land. He goes to the Sanctum and asks Strange for a spell to make the entire world forget he's Spider-Man. Strange starts casting the runes of Kof Kol. Peter immediately starts adding exceptions. Keep MJ's memory, keep Ned's, keep May's, keep Happy's. Exception after exception, loaded onto a global memory wipe already fracturing under its own contradictions. Strange tells him to stop. The spell is destabilizing. Peter says, wait, just one more. Like, just one more. While the multiverse is tearing open, he is being exactly who 6 films of Stark-adjacent safety nets produced. A person who genuinely believes that if you just keep adding exceptions, the problem will eventually bend to accommodate you. Every cost he's ever paid came with a way out attached. Strange tells him to let go. Peter cannot let go. He has never had to before. The spell fractures. The multiverse tears open. Every villain, every death, everything. Because Peter Parker could not let go. And the film builds that lesson around a specific belief Peter holds, one that the villain is designed to destroy. Peter's core belief is that broken people can be healed. And he means it. This isn't a platitude. He's willing to steal from the Sorcerer Supreme over it. Mercy is worth attempting. The right environment, the right chance, people can change. May believes this completely. The film even builds a direct counter-argument through Strange. When the villains are captured, Strange's position is simple. Send them back to their own timelines, where they were each moments from dying at the hands of their own Spider-Man. Preserve the multiverse. Let the math work out. Save infinite lives across infinite universes, even if these specific people pay the price. Peter steals the containment box and refuses. He steals it from the Sorcerer Supreme, because he cannot let these people die. That choice is the whole second act. Peter is standing up for his belief against a smart, reasonable person who thinks he's wrong. Strange reads the risk accurately. He just doesn't think saving these specific people is worth putting infinite others at risk. Peter does. And I love that the film doesn't make Strange a villain for it. He's right. Peter's just not willing to accept it. The Goblin doesn't want to be fixed. He experiences his own destructive nature as freedom. Norman Osborn, the confused, frightened man who arrived through the multiverse genuinely seeking help, is what the Goblin considers the weakness. When Peter and May show him mercy, the Goblin sees an opening. That's what kindness looks like to him, a gap in the armor. Peter and May read Norman correctly. And this is the thing that wrecks me about the Goblin section. The Norman Osborn of those early scenes is soft, vulnerable, lost. A scientist who woke up in the wrong universe with no idea how he got there. And Dafoe plays it completely straight. There's no hint of the Goblin underneath. You believe him. May sees a real person. Peter sees a real person. They responded correctly to what was in front of them. The Goblin persona reasserts itself later. Norman never fully controlled it. They made the right call. And Aunt May died anyway. The Goblin can't be reached. That's not a diagnosis. That's the horror of him. Peter's whole belief system is built on the idea that no one is beyond saving, and the Goblin is the proof that he's wrong. Peter's approach eventually works. The cure lands. Norman Osborn survives. But the cost of getting there is Aunt May's life. The film won't let either side claim they were right. Peter's belief is proven correct, and it destroys the person he loves most. He's left holding both of those things at once. Okay, so every Spider-Man story before this one uses the death of the parental figure the same way. Uncle Ben dies in the Raimi films because Peter let a robber go when he could have stopped him. 2 seconds, one choice, and someone he loved died because of it. Your inaction kills people. Your selfishness has a price. You carry that forever. No Way Home inverts that completely. May dies because Peter and May chose to act, chose to extend mercy to a dangerous and unstable man, chose to try to heal someone who didn't want to be healed. She dies making the most genuinely good choice anyone makes in this film. And the film doesn't look away from that. May delivers the mantra bleeding out on a lobby floor. And the thing that gets me, the thing I wasn't ready for, is that she's not warning him. She's validating him. She's telling him, with whatever she has left, that what they did was right. She hands him a burden. For me, that's the scene. That's where I felt the movie shift into something I wasn't expecting from a Marvel film. The line has been in Spider-Man stories my entire life, and this is the first time it landed like something heavy, like something you have to carry. Obligation. That's what she leaves him with. Uncle Ben left Peter with guilt, a debt to the past, something to atone for. May leaves him with something ongoing, a reason to keep choosing the harder thing every time, even when it costs him everything. May's version tells him to hold on, to keep choosing compassion even when compassion has a cost, to accept that doing the right thing and losing something precious is proof the choice still had to be made. Fighting harder versus just holding on. That's the shift. That's the whole shift. And it's the thing that makes Peter's final choice, the decision to erase himself, to stay gone, to let MJ and Ned be happy without him, finally feel earned. He's holding on, and the film is arguing that's the harder thing. May died because Peter was good. Think about how much heavier that is. Guilt at least gives you something to fix. What May leaves Peter with is harder than guilt. The knowledge that being good leaves you vulnerable to catastrophic loss. That the right choice and the devastating outcome can be the exact same choice. There's no lesson to take from that. There's only the weight of it. The MCU's Spider-Man begins in that lobby. Everything before it was prologue. Quick pause to say, drop a like and subscribe if you're liking this, and check my socials for my unfiltered thoughts on whatever else I'm watching. Alright, let's talk about the other two Spider-Men. The 2002 Raimi film was one of my childhood favorites. Genuinely one of my most watched movies growing up. Watching Tobey walk back into a Spider-Man story, in that theater, surrounded by people who clearly grew up on the exact same film, I'm not going to pretend I was detached. It was unlike anything else I've felt watching a superhero movie. The film uses them as possible futures, and I think that gets completely lost in the cameo conversation. Tobey and Andrew aren't cameos. They're a warning and a roadmap for what MCU Peter becomes depending on which way he turns after May's death. Tobey's Peter lost Uncle Ben because of his own inaction. That guilt hardened over years into something quiet. He survived catastrophic loss and built something stable on the other side. Andrew's Peter is the other road. He lost Gwen, failed to catch her, and he knows it, and has known it every day since. The grief broke something that never healed. He became bitter. He stopped pulling his punches. That admission. Years of violence nobody saw. A Spider-Man who crossed lines in the dark, who let the loss reshape him into something uglier than what he started as. Andrew's Peter is a cautionary tale who showed up tired. And then the film gives Andrew's Peter something. During the climax, MJ falls from the scaffolding around the Statue of Liberty. Andrew's Peter catches her. He has her in his arms and the film doesn't underscore it. No swelling score, no slow motion callback, no explicit dialogue tying it to Gwen. It just happens. He catches her. And his face in that moment tells you everything. He failed to catch Gwen. That failure broke him. And here, in a universe that isn't even his, he catches someone else's MJ. The film gives him the thing he couldn't have in his own story, quietly, without making a speech about it. And when I realized what I was watching, I kind of just sat there. No music cue telling me how to feel, just Andrew's face. That's it. That's the whole thing. The film doesn't point at it, it just leaves it there for you to feel. Peter gets both of them in that apartment that night. Two versions of himself from two different universes who each understand exactly what he's about to go through. Sometimes that's the only thing that helps. Someone who's already been where you're going. Most franchise films at this scale won't go here. They'd cut away, they'd soften it, they'd let Peter get there on his own. Peter has the glider, he's already decided. And then Tobey jumps between them. Peter screams, and then, slowly, he relaxes, sets it down. That moment, that specific moment where another Spider-Man from a completely different universe just stands there and refuses to move, and something in Peter finally breaks through the grief. I sat with that for a long time after the credits, and then the Goblin stabs Tobey in the back. While Peter is standing there having chosen mercy, the Goblin punishes him for it. Andrew throws the cure, Peter injects it. Done. He made the right choice. He stopped, and the film still made it hurt. That's the thing. Peter stopped. He chose mercy. Tobey bled for it anyway. Choosing right doesn't protect the people around you. The film knows that, and it doesn't look away. Peter carries something forward that most MCU heroes don't, the knowledge of what he was prepared to do before he chose not to. The Goblin survives, and Peter will always know how close it was. The spell Peter asks Strange to cast at the end is the mirror of the spell he asked for at the beginning. And when I noticed that the first time, I kind of just sat with it for a second. The first spell had endless exceptions. Keep MJ, keep Ned, keep May. He wanted the benefit of the memory wipe without paying for it personally. That spell fractured because it was built on refusal. The second spell has no exceptions. Erase Peter Parker from the memory of everyone in the universe. Every friend, every relationship, every version of the future he'd spent the whole film trying to protect. All of it. Clean. He started the film unable to allow any sacrifice. He ends it asking for the total version. His entire identity is redacted. School records gone. Every photograph, every digital footprint, scrubbed or rewritten. The people who love him don't just forget who he is. To them, he never existed. He's walking around New York as someone the world has no memory of. Every relationship he ever had, gone. And he's the only one who knows what's missing. There is no goodbye. The people he loves become strangers who don't know what they've lost. The epilogue shows Peter going back. He has a whole speech prepared. He sees MJ and Ned, safe, happy, getting ready for MIT. He sees the bandage on MJ's forehead from a battle she no longer has any memory of. And he just doesn't say anything. He orders a coffee and leaves. It's a choice. Peter has decided what his life has to be. The loneliness is real and permanent and chosen. He knows what he's giving up. He gives it up anyway. Peter moves into a cheap, cold studio apartment. Broke. Unrecognized. Starting from nothing. The GED study book on the table. His transcripts are gone. The spell rewrote everything. The coffee cup from MJ's donut shop. "We are happy to serve you," printed on the side, is the only thing in that apartment connecting to who he was before the spell. All the weight of 6 films. And what he holds on to is a paper cup. The film doesn't explain that or underline it. It just leaves it sitting there, and honestly, that detail wrecked me more than anything else in the ending. The sewing machine is May's. He uses it to build his own suit by hand. Thread and a needle and whatever skill he has. Every stitch is May. That's all there is to say about it. And then the suit. For his entire MCU run, Peter's suits were designed by someone else, built by someone else, filled with someone else's technology. The Iron Spider was the peak of that. Nanotech, AI, orbital capability, a suit Peter wore but didn't really build himself. A suit that was always, underneath everything, a gift from a dead billionaire. The suit he swings out of that window in was made by his own hands, on a sewing machine, in a freezing apartment. No AI, no Stark, no safety net. Every previous MCU suit said, "Look how far Peter has risen." This one says, "This is actually where he lives. This is actually who he is." He swings out into a snowy New York, and everything the film has been about is right there in that image. Everything protecting him is gone. He is alone in a way this character had never been in the MCU. And he is, for the first time, actually Spider-Man. The cameos are real. Watching Tobey Maguire walk back into a Spider-Man story in that packed theater surrounded by people who grew up on those Raimi films, that carries a specific emotional charge I can't fully separate from childhood. That's genuine. And honestly, Andrew Garfield showing up hit differently than I expected too. Those films were fun. Genuinely fun. Seeing him back, seeing what the film does with his guilt about Gwen, that one actually surprised me with how much it landed. But the version that sticks is the one you watch alone. At home. No packed theater, just you and the film. Feige skipped the origin. Peter arrived in the MCU without the loss every version of this character was built on. Tony Stark filled that gap. The safety net grew to cover what should have been a wound. And No Way Home is the film that finally supplies it, 3 movies late, retroactively, as a delayed origin story for a hero who technically never had one. Peter now has everything the classic version always had. The dead parental figure. The guilt, the poverty, the anonymous heroism, the knowledge of exactly what he's capable of in his worst moments, the choice to keep going anyway. Which means Brand New Day is the first Spider-Man film in the MCU that gets to use the actual character. The films before were a prologue. No Way Home was the origin. Brand New Day is where the story starts. He became Spider-Man the moment he walked out of a donut shop, left the people he loves to be happy without him, and decided to do the job anyway. That's the only origin story that counts. Thanks for watching. If you're looking for more MCU content, click the video on screen right now for another deep dive. Appreciate you all, and I'll see you next time.